deny that Rengar once it pops out of the shadows. So what are they going to complement this with is the question. And woohoo, I can't wait to see what they're going to show up with. They already have a Zeri and a Fiora, both self-sufficient in their own right, but I don't see anything indicative of how they're going to play around this Rengar yet. And with them banning out all these ADCs, I wonder if they're going to go for something along the lines of something aggressive here, or maybe something tanky, or maybe something that can keep up with the Rengar speed-wise, something like a Rakan as well, that can do the same thing that a Rengar can, which is engage from far away. Well, this makes a lot of sense, actually. The Rakan does.
It does.
I think they could also go for a Camille if it wasn't banned away, but the Fiora somewhat accomplishes the same thing. So yeah, I do like this Rakan pickup.
Yeah, I feel like if they were to pick up that Rengar, something like a Rakan really has to complement them, because, you know, the quickness plus the Grand Entrance can distract that front line very efficiently so that Carryman can have access to that Xayah. But the Xayah being picked up by Yuri just means that, you know, that Rengar immediately becomes a lot less effective, a lot less threatening, because she, as soon as, you know, he pops out of the air, he starts flying towards her, just priming all of his skills, his double knife combo, Feather Storm immediately.
Yep.
And she's just like, I'm out of here, just wash dish and then get out of there. Different Riot game, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I do understand. I do understand your point there. It is a very safe ADC here. And couple that with the Gragas argument I was pointing out earlier, but we do get to see a Lux. Okay, Woohoo Gaming throwing everything they've got into the first game of this series. I'm all for this, Gio. A Lux, Rakan, Rengar combo. Make something happen with this. I love this. I love this.
The Lux, I feel, is a tiny bit questionable, but... Well, you know, it comes down to execution. Now, we have to have faith in Pan. We have to have faith in Pan. He's going to be going up against that side. Lux provides a lot of long-range harass, a lot of poke that the Xayah may not be able to contend with, as well as threatening that light binding into Grand Entrance combo with the Rakan. So, you know, I feel like Yuri has to play a lot safer than he may have he wanted to with this Xayah. So yeah, I just think that the composition of Trace Esports is really, really good, but there are some ways to circumvent it, to get around it with Woohoo Gaming right here with that Rengar.
Let's see how this plays out. Woohoo Gaming fighting for their life in the playoffs with everything to lose here, and they pull out an amazing unconventional composition here. Rengar Lux. What can they do with this, Gio? I don't know, but
I don't know.
They have to make it big.
I mean, we'll find out. They really need this game. They need this match, and if they're pulling out, you know, things out of their sleeves that may not be necessarily, you know, effective necessarily, you know, in regular play, but when the chips are down, when they're trying to make this comeback, when they're trying to surprise Trace Esports with something unconventional, you know, this is one of the it just means that Woohoo Gaming have a plan up their sleeves. And yeah, this is going to be the first time Rengar has been picked in the entirety of WRL Season 2, so there is a lot of pressure, not just on you know, Woohoo Gaming, but on Carryman specifically. He has to make sure that his name is respected.
Yep.
He needs to be the carry in the jungle.
I was talking about this earlier as well, right? On a different matchup when we saw a Rengar in the fight for side. Will we be seeing that Rengar today? It turns out we will, just a little bit later. And now that we have it, I can't wait to see how it performs. Meanwhile, Rocky on a little bit of a skirmish against Lee Sao, so nothing too peculiar there yet. I mean, with an Evelyn jungler, you're gonna want to wait for that level 5 mark, right? Before you get to an engagement with Carryman. Is not waiting at all. Hueba forced to flash early there. Carryman, really good job recognizing the pattern of where Hueba is going to pass.
And that is why you bring out the Rengar, because as you said, Evelyn really gets going at level 5, but that just means there is that little avenue, that opening in the early game for that Rengar to abuse the Evelyn, because he does do a lot of damage early on. So this just means that the gloves are off here. Carryman, you're gapping that Evelyn, taking that blue buff will hurt Carryman quite a bit in the early game.
Saw a window and he capitalized on it. So Carryman off to a pretty good start here in our jungling battle. Because of that, they do have a little bit of a tiny gold lead, 200, as he makes his way towards that blue buff side of the jungle. Can't necessarily gank his bottom side yet because a little bit too deep now, as Rocky might have found himself in a little bit of trouble. Flashes to safety. And that's a really good job from Lee Sao as Carryman activates Thrill of the Hunt, jumps onto Yuri, 1 HP left, the boulder strike is perfect, and Zaya, Yuri goes down, woohoo, on the board.
Yep. Unfortunately, if it was Wake Up who was getting that kill, it would have been a lot better on Carryman or Pan. But looking at that, that was a really good gank. The ultimate coming in and just jumping on Yuri. The perfect timing because she did not have Feather Storm available. Level 4 is when you can prey on that side, and prey on her you did. And you know what? Cats are natural predators of birds, so it just makes sense.
Yeah, of course. Weiba getting jumped this time. The Grand Challenge activated by Rocky. It's a 1v2, but look at how well he's fighting off against these two players. Lee Sao does not have dominance anymore, and now they look for the turn. Weiba almost dies there. Gets chipped down by San1, who flashes forward, but Weiba survives that push. Meanwhile, WHG in another engagement on the bottom side. Flash forward for the quickness, but he does get stunned up, so Wake Up can't continue on with the engage. And it's a 1-1 on the scoreboard. Trace Esports, they fight back with just one hit.
Yep, at least they are, still fighting back. That was a bit of an aggressive dive there by Sandy. He just wanted to go in and finish off that Evelyn, who was very, very low. But she did have her ultimate, and that was able to make her invulnerable, displace her for just enough time for that stun to come in from Lee Sao. And yeah, when you are a Zeri diving on the tower against a Renekton, then you are just going to blow up.
Pick up the Thrill of the Hunt again. Carryman this time on the top side on Lee Sao. Jumps into turret range, so can't necessarily find the kill. And I'm not particularly sure if Lee Sao already has the dominance available again. So Carryman didn't want to risk that, not having that information. But so far things have slowed down here for Carryman. Hasn't been able to find as much space as he hoped for. But so all things considered, he's still a little bit ahead. Here.
Yeah, things are really going to come to a head later on in about 30 seconds when the objectives spawn up. We see a lot of teams kind of crumble when it comes to contesting that very first objective. Some teams, they just want to handshake it. They just want to go, alright, you take the Raphael, we take the Drake. But against Trace Esports, I feel like Woohoo Gaming need to, try to take every fight they get, try to get Carryman as fed as possible, because there is no other option here. They cannot handshake and give Woohoo Gaming any sort of advantage. Sorry, Trace Esports.
Entrance connects, and that's the light binding onto attack as well. There's not enough damage going around because their Zeri is at the bottom side of the map here. Meanwhile, Rocky Lee Sao again. Beautiful riposte there. Gets the stun onto Lee Sao. Denies any further engagement. So that's going to give them a lot of room. But they have to sniff out this Raphael getting taken now. WHG, don't they start up the Ice Dragon attack. Slowly responding. Beautiful cast right there as Carryman goes out of the pit but goes back into the fight. After Raphael secured by Trace as Woohoo gets the Dragon this time. So, fair trades. Actually, this game a lot closer than I was expecting.
Yeah, honestly, I thought it would be, whoever gets that first kill is snowballs, but
jumps in with a Thrill of the Hunt. Huge Shao flash, slice, dice. No dice though, as he doesn't survive against Carryman. Woohoo find a couple of kills there and expend a couple of summoner spells as well from Trace.
2 good kills there. The final spark really coming in big. Let's take a look at that because that was beautifully set up by Woohoo Gaming. The quickness from so far away, perfectly setting up that grand entrance, and of course the final spark, and Carryman finishing it all off with the chase on the Lee Sao. That was a perfectly executed gang. Now Trace Esports, they do want to get a little bit of revenge, get themselves a little bit of gold, any sort of kill that they can find, but you know, if they are just going to grab that tower, this is going to be a very good decision. So if Weibo wants to drop that with Herald.
But you know what, Gio? They're making the Rengar pick work. Weibo is getting checked right now. He's getting outperformed by Carryman on this Rengar. I mean, what is this? Woohoo Gaming giving Trace Esports a run for their money. I mean, this is not a look that Trace Esports is not a situation that they are used to. Certainly not against a Rengar. And look, their first turret is going to go down there in the middle side. Meanwhile, they're going to go for an engage again. Carryman on the top side. Beautiful blade caller there from Yuri to deny anything more. But that's another kill for Woohoo that's unanswered by Trace.
Yeah, and this is very uncharacteristic of Trace. I think they really just got thrown off by that early aggression by Carryman. And I really think that, you know, they aren't doing as well as they should be. Although even with that being said, the scaling towards the late game is going to be so big for Trace Esports. They just need to survive until then, even though there is also a Zeri for the late game. The Lux and the Rengar are going to be a lot harder to play efficiently on the late game unless you're just, you know, always ambushing people. And against Trace Esports, that's a lot harder to do because they do place a lot of importance on their vision. So they will want to know where Carryman is at all times.
You know what's weird though? Despite the fact that Woohoo has been so proactive in getting kills, is Trace Esports still keeping the gold even? I mean, that's the key difference between the top 3 teams, I would say, compared to the rest of the CN Conference teams, is despite the fact that they're not necessarily looking like they have a lead, they still keep and have it without looking like they're doing much because it's just the pure macro that these teams have. And it's so good. But now Carryman going back in with a Thrill of the Hunt. They look to shut down the Gragas, but Tak counter engages with the body slam. And Trace Esports now are fighting back. Look, they're pushing Sani into a corner, and he is just struggling to survive. But he is laying down the thunder until he goes down. Trace find 3 kills, and WHG crumble in that fight.
And that was a mistake that Trace Esports was looking for. Look at how beautiful this is coming in from Tak. And that was engaged by Wake Up as well, but that explosive cast just set everything up for them. Carryman did go down there, but the kills were just amazing there. Weibo really putting his mark onto that Rengar, and of course Sani was just in a really bad position once that turret fell down, and now it is stretching the gold lead. They're almost 3,000 here for Trace Esports, and even though the early game was a lot dicey for them, Woohoo Gaming still have more kills by 1, but Trace Esports, they feel like they have so much more control of the map.
And this is what I was talking about here in that draft phase, the counter engage potential, the denial that is available with the Gragas. Tak just played that fight perfectly despite the fact that he was 1 HP, did not lose composure, body slam, cask, and it was over in an instant. He turned it around immediately after that. And that's all it takes, because take a look at the gold graph here. It's turning in favor of Trace Esports off of that team fight, and now they're the ones in control of the objectives.
Exactly. 1 is all it takes. 1 mistake, 1 opportunity, and once again, Tak.
Cask, and again, Tak sets up the fight. Wake Up technically has Flash to survive for now. And here comes Rocky trying to act as frontline Carryman from the back. And that is the Thrill of used top to shut down the ADC. He will go down as well, but Wake Up goes back in for the fight as Woohoo struggling to stay alive for now. They don't have a lot of CC anymore, but they do have damage in the form of Rocky, who flashes forward, riposte to slow down Korn, and now he's chasing Tak under tower. Korn gets slowed again, and Rocky will be keeping him at bay and down for the count. Grand Entrance knocks up Tak, and Woohoo Gaming strike back and take what is theirs. That is the kills.
Oh, this is so exciting. The shoe is now on the other foot, and that was this time initiated by Tak. So it seems like whoever initiates first loses the fight, because Carryman so good on that Thrill of the Hunt, just hunting down the Saya, making sure that he can't play the game in that fight. And that is exactly what the Rengar was here to do, and that set up everything for this fight. And what a setup with the light binding, the final spark. Korn getting slowed there, I think, was the final nail in that particular coffin. So a big mistake there by Trace Esports will lead to 4 kills, and I think this is going to be a tower. And of course the Ice Drake for Woohoo Gaming, they actually tie up the gold again.
And a big playing factor in that team fight was Rocky's positioning. He was uncontested that entire time because he was just waiting for Carryman to go in. Once Carryman went in, he went alongside him, and he served as sort of the barrier between the rest of the Woohoo squad and the Trace squad. That Trace was at a loss. What are they gonna do? They can't get past Rocky, but now Grand Entrance connects, and that is on to just one player, as Explosive Gas gonna be there for a bit of a bailout onto Lee Sao. Tak. Body slam, not used up yet, but that's 4 people in front of them. Not sure if Trace wants to commit to this, as they weeded out Rocky. Exhaust is going to be there. Grand challenge from Rocky, try and buy a little bit of space, but the last caress doesn't get the execute onto Rocky. No one has gone down yet. Nice disengage from Woohoo.
Great disengage, but also they were able to grab some resources away from Trace Esports. But still, look at that gold. Trace Esports somehow have managed to find another gold lead. Even though they're 4 kills behind, their macro is just on another level right now. And with them keeping themselves ahead of the curve here, Woohoo Gaming, they really need to up their aggression. They need to look for more skirmishes. That's exactly what they were trying to do. But then Lisa was a little bit too healthy. And then, of course, Tak coming in to defend him was just a cherry on top. This is why, Tak is one of those supports that you cannot underestimate. He will always be there to protect his team.
Absolutely, especially with the Gragas in his hands. And Trace Esports, they could just play the waiting game now because despite the efforts of Woohoo, they're still coming out on top in terms of gold. If they just keep this up, they're eventually going to reach a precipice where the Xayah takes over the game, where they are just going to wait for Carryman to slip up, to make a mistake, and then capitalize off that, and then start the fight after that. Because remember, this is a Rengar we're talking about. The longer the game goes on, Rengar is going to struggle more and more. So, Esports, they can just play the waiting game for now, and it seems like that's exactly what they're doing. They're not looking for anything proactive.
Absolutely. That is something that I feel needs to be remedied here. Weiba knows that he's being hunted down. Carryman just use that thrill of the hunt for a little bit of vision. Just a little bit of intimidation there to scare Weiba off of pushing that wave and extending the small lead that Trace Esports now have. It is very small, but it still is very relevant because that just means that Trace Esports is so good at the macro that they don't really need to compete in terms of kills to be able to be effective later on in the team fights. And of course, the scaling from Trace Esports is just going to keep going the longer the game goes on. And I really think they're going to be a much stronger team in those late game fights than Woohoo Gaming.
Not to mention, they have the better team fighting competition. This is a Rengar we're talking about, so they don't want to isolate fights, and team fights are the opposite of that. And Trace, they recognize that. Look, they're grouping up. They're not letting Carryman find anyone here, because the moment he jumps in the 5-man setup, he's just gonna go down here. And Trace playing this macro perfectly here. But the question is, will they contest for this next dragon that's already spawned up? I think they will.
They have to. It's an Infernal Drake. That is just raw damage. And that's one of the worst Drakes to give to a Rengar, because that just makes his burst even faster if he gets that backline access. And Yuri is going to be his target pretty much 100% of the time here when he's in that thrill of the hunt mode. Except, if he sees someone isolated. So just a little bit of information, a little bit of intimidation there, but it does look like they're not going to be able to contest it. It's going down too fast.
And they were not going to be able to steal it. The cast is a little bit too late there. But they turn it around. WHG, they don't have to throw them anymore, which means that Carryman is going to be running off to the hills. They do take the dragon here, as Woohoo Gaming walk off with the Infernal Dragon buff. But Trace Esports, they're still a 5-man strong team. They're looking to set their sights towards this Baron buff, and they're starting it up already. Carryman, he sniffs this out, and they're gonna have to contest this without their smites. But Trace, they know better than to risk it. They're not gonna do it now. So all in all, Woohoo Gaming win that fight.
They do. They give up 1 kill for the dragon, but I think that's worth. Yeah. As I said, Infernal Drake, one of the best Drakes to have on that Rengar. And you can see he's already got 3 items. Got the Yomu's Edge of Night, Duskblade of Drakthar. If he so much as breathes in the direction of that Xayah, and the Feather Storm isn't on point, and it's just gone. He's just that Xayah will not be able to exist in the game.
Absolutely. Carryman's still the one to watch in this game. Trace Esports again somehow has a 1,000 gold lead. It's mind-boggling to think of, but regardless of that fact, Woohoo Gaming definitely has momentum going into this late game. Carryman at the helm of it for majority of the game, and Weiba kept in check because of that fact, but now Trace has a little bit more control towards his Baron pit, and they can threaten to start up this Baron buff. They're clearing up the waves, the minions, and the vision as well, which pressures Woohoo to respond to this Baron buff aggression. And without the Thrill of the Hunt, you can see that Woohoo's actions are definitely limited. So they have to wait for that to come up again. And even so, when Carryman activates the Thrill of the Hunt, if they don't have vision of the pit, Trace Esports can just group up together, which makes Carryman's job even harder. I mean, we keep saying how much items he has, how much damage, but at the end of the day, he still has to isolate these fights.
Oh wow, look at all that damage onto the, I think that was the Lux there that had, well, not the Lux, the Zeri, sorry, Danny had to get out of there and go back and recall. I think because Weiba was onto him, I wasn't really able to see that, but yeah, that is another jungler that you really have to watch out for, is the Evelynn, because while she doesn't have as strong a backline access as the Rengar, if she does get to that backline, it is going to hurt quite a lot, especially with that last caress. But now the Elder Drake fight is going to be the next thing up. Carryman and Weiba, invisible junglers, just looking for each other, looking for anybody to assassinate here.
Oh, here comes Grand Entrance into the Thrill of the Hunt jump, but it's Lee Sao, not really the best of targets to try to fight on, as he's a tank gets cleared here of Trace. He uses the slice and dice to back off the safety, but Trace Esports, that means they don't have the Elder Drake pit control for now. Carryman, that means doesn't have the Thrill of the Hunt anymore, which means Woohoo has to position themselves better than this. But look at Weiba. He is the Evelynn. He's going to be finding a little bit of space towards that blue buff side, and Trace Esports, they have control of the pit. Yuri starting up the Elder Dragon. Lee Sao's already healed up to full HP now, and Woohoo, they're pressured to start the fight. Wake up at the front end of things. That's a light binding connecting. That's stuck. Holding the fort for now. 8,000 HP left on the Elder Dragon as Wake Up goes in with Grand Entrance connects onto Tak, and Tak is down to 100 or 25% HP now. Elder Dragon getting chipped down to 3,000, and who's going to take it at the end? Weiba getting destroyed, and that's the Elder Drake secured still by Weiba. Not stolen away, but Woohoo Gaming are winning the fights. It is them with the team fight win without the Elder Drake, and he will be pressing on to the base here of Trace.
What a great ace there by Woohoo Gaming, and I think with all of those death timers being pretty long, I still think like, what, 28, 25 seconds, they can just run it down. Yeah, they are just running it down. With that big team fight win, the ace in the Dragon Pit, Woohoo Gaming will be taking game number 1. What? Rengar, 100% win rate!
Woohoo Gaming with a massive curveball there makes